this kid was just like dreaming up this world. So like all these shows, they all just take place in this kid's imagination. This kid's just got a very active mind.
Damn. Some ADHD.
That's like some post that I saw that said that he had watched the Shrek movie as a child so much that he could play the movie in his head without actually watching it, and he started doing it so much and his family caught on. His dad would be like, so what part are you up to right now? He'd be staring off into space and then he'd tell his dad what part of the movie he was at and stuff like that. He's like, I don't really do it anymore, but I remember a big part of my life was me staring at walls rewatching Shrek in my mind.
That's wild.
Bees. Moving on to our next topic. Knowing the ending of something, could it ruin the entire experience? For like example, movies or even a dining experience. Like, you go to some restaurants and there's like something at the end that's dope, but someone already told you. Does that fuck the vibe up? If it does.
That was my topic. I had a completely different route in mind for it. What I was thinking is like, can the ending of something ruin the entire experience? The example I had in my mind is like Mass Effect 3. People were real upset about the ending of that game. Did it ruin the entire experience of the rest of the games? Because there were people saying that it did. Like it ruined the entire story. That everything was fucked up because of the ending of that game.
I mean, I think for certain things it can. Like if like in Tony's situation with the restaurant, right? Imagine you're going and eating a nice 7-course meal. 6 course? How many courses?
I think it's a 6-course meal.
They have some number of courses. What if in the middle of one of these courses, you're having a fantastic meal and they just bring out a shit on a plate? You might get up and leave and go, fuck this place. I ain't never coming back. Like, I mean, that might have ruined everything for you, that shit on a plate. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But no, I think for me, I've always been more about the journey. Like I've enjoyed, like I've in general, I think endings are just bad. Like I feel like people don't write good endings anyways. So I'm very rarely am I satisfied with how things end. So
what are some series that you've liked the way that they've ended? Actually, like some big series like that, like Game of Thrones obviously is like one of the big examples of people being like, nope, the last season fucking ruined it. Game of Thrones is trash now, even though you go and look at like their social media history and they were just eating that shit up for like the first several seasons.
I think The Wire ended great. Yeah, I think they gave you a little bit they gave you an aspect of every part of the city, and they're like, we got nothing else to show. And even then, with such a good ending, I felt like you could have made more. Like I would have watched more, you know what I mean? So what about you, Tony? How do you feel about this?
I would say some things are different. Like movie-wise, it would probably ruin my whole entire experience because I won't have that shocking effect. Like if someone walked down and said, Anakin's Darth Vader or he's Luke's father, before I watch the movie, the whole movie experience is fucking ruined now. Like in that aspect, it's ruined. But like maybe video games or like a meal to go eat at a restaurant, like, nah, I wouldn't. Like, how about you? If I never ate there before and they tell me like, yo, they're gonna chop it up in front of you, that wouldn't really ruin my experience. If anything, that would make me want to go and watch, like, experience it more. I want to go and do it now. So this, it's just like certain things I would say are off limits to like telling me or me knowing.
You're saying more like a spoiler though. Like we're saying more like, can an ending, how something ends, ruin the experience you had? So like,
yeah, and I said like
as in two examples. Like Game of Thrones having a bad last season, does that ruin overall how you feel about the show?
No, not really. No, I would say no. The show is still good, whether the ending sucked or not. Like the show is still phenomenal.
I think there's definitely like levels to it, right? Yeah. Like Dexter is one of the famous examples. They did some weird shit in the last season of Dexter. Like he fell in love with his sister, or his sister fell in love with him, or whatever. And then
they fucked. I'm pretty sure they fucked.
Yeah, I think they made out at the very minimum. But like, and then he becomes a lumberjack in the woods, it kind of made the entire journey feel pointless because that's where you get to.
I never watched that show.
Dexter was a show that I thought was good, and then it got so bad that I wouldn't even go back and rewatch the beginning. The ending was so bad it ruined the whole show for me.
You know what?
So I guess there's cases.
I had another show that would have probably been ruined for me. I went into a binge hole so bad. I think it's my first real binge hole with the show called Lost. I went into a super binge with that show. If I would have found out that they were all already dead during that whole entire show, I don't think I would have watched the show. Did you watch the show Lost, Mateo?
I never saw it. I remember all the Facebook comments about though, like everyone, it was the biggest puzzle in the world. Everyone's like, "Oh shit, the smoke monster? What's that about? The hatch? What's going on here?" And then like the ending came out and it was like, "This shit fucking sucks."
Yeah, because the whole time you think they survived the plane crash, no, they're fucking dead the whole entire time. It's like, bro, what?
Y'all get no spoiler warnings for a show that's over like 15 years old or whatever.
If I dare one of you to say, "Oh, spoilers," I'll dare. I would love to see your name in the comments.
I was one of those guys that liked Lost a lot. The mysteries in that show were so good. Mm-hmm. And I think I could still go back and rewatch parts of Lost. But that ending was so fucking bad. It was so bad. I don't even fully understand it. There were 2 different plane crashes in that show.
Were there really?
Yeah, there were like 6. I think there were like the 6, whatever. 6 of them made it back to society, and they were like, "Oh, we survived the plane crash. We got off this island, blah blah blah." And they just didn't like the feeling that they had being back in society, so they had some weird premonition that if they got on a certain flight, that it would crash. So they got on a plane that crashed again, and they ended up crash landing right back on the island. They made it back. They lived for years out in back in society and stuff. But I don't know what's real. The show is so fucked up in my head that like I don't even remember. Like I just know they're all dead, and I think they've been dead since the first episode. The plane crashed, they all died, and I don't know how any of this shit makes any sense at all.
So do we move topics? The question is, can the ending of something be so bad that it ruins the whole rest of the experience for you?
You're on mute,
bud.
I think in general, nobody ever ends anything satisfying for me anyways. So I'm always left a little bit with a bad taste in my mouth. I think endings are really hard to get. And I think only a few movies have gotten endings correct. I think for the most part, it's because they want to wrap everything up in a bow and make it everything is good again. Like, look at the end of Empire Strikes Back. It's fucking depressing. It's like, oh, this thing is hanging on for his life. Ah!
Well, that's the first one where they knew there was going to be a sequel, right? So they were like, we can end this one in kind of like this fucked up cliffhanger way.
I think if you can't end it in one movie, you should always end it in some sort of cliffhanger. I think cliffhanger endings are better because it makes you think. And it's like, oh, what do you think happened and stuff like that.
What if The Last of Us, like the very like the first game ended with like a sudden flashback to like that car escape scene from the intro, and it turns out that this was like Joel had actually died, and this was like the fantasy world that he built in his head right before he died in the car accident or something. Would that ruin the whole experience for you?
Yeah.
Yes. That would ruin that game.
Only because the ending of The Last of Us is one of the greatest endings to a game.
But if you never had that ending, you would have never known that ending. Think about it. It's like they're saying The Walking Dead, that this is all Joel's not Joel, wow. The Walking Dead, the show, that this was all, what's his name? It was just a dream. He was still sleeping in the hospital. That was like a whole theory that these guys had. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would have ruined Last of Us if that would have happened. I think it would have been like, damn.
I think it would have.
Yeah?
Nigga, what is this, Mario 2, nigga? It's just the worst.
That shit sucks.
Like, what is this?
They did that bullshit with the X-Files. At the end of the X-Files, they revealed that all this crazy shit that was happening is just like this autistic kid just thinking about things or some weird shit like that. And it's like, hold on. This has been in this kid's head the whole time. Like, this sucks. And I'm like, fuck the X-Files.
I love the X-Files too. It didn't ruin the show for me, but
nah, it doesn't. Man.
Fox
gotta
and
ignore
Mulder,
that
man.
last episode. Last episode doesn't exist.
Yeah, facts.
Speaking of X-Files, the X-Files and The Wire take place in the same universe.
Oh yeah, there's a shared detective or something, right?
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's awesome.
That's a fun fact. Just because we brought up The Wire earlier, so I'm like, yeah, fuck it.
I think there's some kind of thing like that. With there's a bunch of TV shows that like they've created this theory that they all exist like in the same universe because there's like the same cigarette brand in them or like the same characters in multiple shows, and it expands it into this huge thing. And all these shows relate to this one like soap opera from like the 80s or something where it was that same premise. This kid was just like dreaming up this world. So like all these shows, they all just take place in this kid's imagination. This kid's just got a very active mind.
Damn. Some ADHD.
That's like some post that I saw that said that he had watched the Shrek movie as a child so much that he could play the movie in his head without actually watching it, and he started doing it so much and his family caught on. His dad would be like, so what part are you up to right now? He'd be staring off into space and then he'd tell his dad what part of the movie he was at and stuff like that. He's like I don't really do it anymore, but I remember a big part of my life was me staring at walls rewatching Shrek in my mind.
That's wild.
Bees. Like the whole movie, that dude's got a great photo memory. That's the type of people you need in like investigations and shit like that.
Nah, he's gonna get distracted. He's just gonna go stare at a wall and watch Shrek.
I can see Doe doing that shit, just hitting that shit and just staring at the wall, watching a whole fucking movie in his mind.
That was you in ESC, not me.
Oh, here we go. Nigga gets offended. But no, yeah, I mean, like I said, there is levels to ruining vibes or experiences for people. You know what I mean? Like you could take anybody anywhere, and you want them to have the same shock and emotions that you had playing a game, watching a movie, or eating out. You want them to have that same feeling, so that way they can be like, "Damn, this is lit." You know, so and no one ever wants anyone to ruin the vibes or anything like that. And also for people who's making games, like a point of how the topic was, I guess, originally went. Yeah, if you guys make a great game and there's shitty ending, the shitty ending will always be known. Like that would stick out way more than the game being great. Because no matter what, Last of Us is great, but if they had that shitty ending, you'd be like, yeah, that game was great until that shitty ending. That shitty ending will always come up. So just take that shit into consideration when y'all making a game. Like imagine Metal Gear. The ending of Metal Gear would just show you it's just some dude in a bed sleeping there. Guys
It all,
like, what?
It all took place in Psycho Mantis's mind.
Should be wild.
I don't think anybody needs to write a bad ending for Metal Gear. I think Kojima can handle those endings himself. He's done a lot of questionable shit. This is coming from a longtime lover of Metal Gear, but there's a lot of weird shit in these games. Fucking 17 hours of cutscenes in Metal Gear 4.
Oh my God, bro. The man had a fucking movie, bro.
Come on, bro.
Is
and
it
you have to watch
legitimately
it.
17 hours of cutscenes?
No, I'm exaggerating, but he I think he might still have the Guinness record for longest unplayable section in a video game.
Metal Gear 4 overdid it. Metal Gear 4 is like a movie almost that you can play certain sections.
Shit was crazy.
The game takes place like in acts, and at some point you finish one of the acts, and there's like a big ass cutscene to wrap up that act. Then they put in commercials between the acts because you're watching TV apparently. So you got these fake commercials that have to play, and then the beginning of the act plays of the next act. So you're just sitting there watching like an infinity cutscene. You're like, oh my God, this is taking forever. Like it's terrible.
No, literal 30 minutes. You'll sit there for 30 minutes without touching the controller.
That's crazy.
And I loved this game when it came out.
I loved it too.
Goddamn, replaying it, watching that shit for that long, it's a bit much.
And it's unskippable, or you can skip it?
No, you can skip it. You can skip it.
Nigga, the first playthrough you couldn't skip. Could you imagine? I mean, who would skip a cutscene?
Yeah, but nobody would skip it. Like you're in this for the story and shit. It's like but still, it's unreasonable. Like if it was a 5-hour movie, I would probably be like, all right, I'll be back. I don't know if I'm gonna play this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, nah.
But I don't know. Some people would say the ending of Phantom Pain ruined the whole experience.
No.
Speaking of Metal Gear, the fact that there was no ending, that game just doesn't have an ending.
Oh, does it not?
So sad. Yeah.
I always thought in my heart that they were gonna make another one to end it.
Some people say that Kojima didn't put the ending in the game so that you could have the experience of a Phantom Pain. You're feeling pain of a loss you never had, right?
That's
so maybe the man's
fire.
a genius.
I mean, maybe
he should have just finished his video game, you know?
The man is definitely a genius. He's also got a big old weird brain. Did you see what he was tweeting about this week where it was just like a bunch of people doing like the Death Stranding like stack of boxes like on their back, and they had like 120 kilograms of weight in there, and they were just hiking around and taking pictures. It's crazy shit, dude.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. They need the power. I don't even think what's his name? Sam Porter Bridges. He can't even hold 120 kilos. I think he maxes at 80. You need them power legs to carry more, you know? So those people, they're strong.
By the way,
stronger than the guy who saved America.
Kojima, if you're out there and some way, somehow this tag or this video gets to you, we would love you on the show. We would love to pick your brain. 100%. I don't know about these suckers. I am a fan as well.
That's
Trust
the
me.
biggest shot in the history of shots.
I'm shooting it out there. I would love for you to be on the show. And matter of fact, I would love to be a voice actor in one of your games. Put me as an antagonist. I'm here. Let me know. I would
if anybody
gladly
will land the gig, it's Tony.
Yeah.
But hey. That's disgusting.
If it's in the game, you'll play it every time you die.
I'm just that's terrible. I'm picturing how hilarious it would be actually having Kojima on the pod, because I don't think he talks enough English to have this type of conversation. So we'd have to be talking to a translator. I think it would be funny.
It'd
be
awesome.
in a weird situation.
It'll be even better if he'd like, yo, I'll fly you guys out to my fucking studio. We'll do it there. That'll be lit.
Tony exists in like fantasy land. This is you're like the kid in the X-Files. You're creating your whole world right now.
Let me create.
Tony's watching Shrek right now on that wall.
Oh man. But yeah. Fucking experiences, man. Some can be ruined, some can't. Unfortunately, it is what it is, I guess. But
it is definitely hard to write an ending, right?
Nah. I don't think it's hard. I think
you're high off your ass. Almost every movie we ever watched, the ending is shit.
That's because they just gave up. So I think
everybody in Hollywood, they just all give up.
Yeah, I think they just gave up. They just kept. It's like a Michael Scott thing. They were so good, and then it just at some point they just lost, and they just kept going until they found it, but they didn't find it. They just got
a
ruined.
little off topic. I kind of like when movies break the fourth wall. Remember in Spaceballs when Lord Vader is playing with the dolls of himself and the antagonist and the protagonist? And then the guy comes in and he's like this, and he gives him information, and he says, "Don't tell anybody what you've seen here." He says, "I didn't see you playing with your dolls." Close.
His name is Darth Helmet, by the way.
Darth Helmet. There you
or maybe
go.
Dark Helmet.
I think it might be Dark Helmet. Isn't there one of those Mel Brooks movies where they like check the script to see like what they're supposed to do next?
Yeah. But that movie is so fucking funny. I think that movie got me when it said comb the desert and there's a fucking comb. I think that was my favorite scene out of the whole
and
shit.
the black guy had the fist comb.
Oh yeah. Is that disrespectful?
I think
it's some form
funny.
Of if they released that movie today, would that be a disrespectful thing?
I don't think so.
I think people say all the time, they're like, Blazing Saddles couldn't come out today. I think Blazing Saddles could come out today. I think people would understand that it's obviously satirical and not meant to be like glorifying racism or anything.
Yeah.
Oh no, man. Nowadays
I've never watched Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles
Classic.
is maybe his best.
Classic.
I did watch Young Frankenstein again recently.
I love Young Frankenstein.
Is
so
it good?
fucking good.
I've never watched it.
Young Frankenstein's fucking hilarious.
Gene
it's Frankenstein.
It has the thing that everybody thinks of when they think of Frankenstein. It's alive. It's from that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn good movie.
Don't watch movies.
And it's with Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder's Dr. Frankenstein.
I'm watching Obi-Wan, and I realized I still haven't watched the third Star Wars movie. I'm like, oh yeah, this all happened in the third Star Wars movie that I never watched.
You still haven't watched Revenge of the
I didn't know Padme dies. I didn't know her kids get sent off to different planets. I was like, oh, this is what happens. I didn't know any of that.
You're
shit.
a piece of shit, bro. Like, how do you not watch?
Yeah.
No, the worst thing is he was sending us that little SpongeBob gift the other day when we were recording. It's like, what are you going to contribute to the Obi-Wan Kenobi conversation?
You see that little gap in my thing? That's where I was peeking out of, all right? Guys are fucking frolicking out there.
Oh, that was Squidward. That was a Squidward meme, right? Where he's up in the window looking at everybody being happy.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Yeah, if you haven't done so already, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe button, hit it, like button, share button, tap it. Let us know what you think. Got videos everywhere, audio everywhere. Click it, hit it, play it. We need it. Comment as well.